So we're going to talk about solving systems equations again, but this with matrices, but this time with elimination. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take this and create what's called augmented matrix. It's way fancier sounding than it actually is. Just looks like that. So you got 3, 5, 27, negative 27, 3, 5, negative 27. 4, 10, negative 46. This just kind of means like that's the equal to part. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is to turn the left side of the identity into the identity matrix by elimination. So we want to create this left side to be 1, 0, 0, 1. So the first thing I'm going to do here is try to eliminate this 5. Just like we would do in elimination. You'd multiply the whole top up here by -2 to get this to turn into -10. Well, that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to multiply the top row by -2. So -2 times 3, -2 times 5, and -2 times -27. Didn't do anything to the second row. -2 times 3 is -6. -2 times 5 is -10. -27 times -2 is positive 54. I'm going to add the second row to the first, but I'm going to leave the second row alone. So this -6 times 4, or I'm sorry, -6 plus 4 is going to be -2. -10 plus 10 is going to be 0. And 54 plus -46 is going to be 8. And I leave the second row alone. So there's my 0. I've got that first 0 I'm looking for. Now I want to turn this into 0. So we're going to eliminate the 4 in the second row. And you can do this one of two ways. You could multiply the top by 2. Delta math always talks about multiplication. You can divide the bottom row by 2, which would be easy for me. Delta math will make you say that you're going to multiply the bottom row by 1/2. Don't worry about that. Multiplication and division are essentially the same thing. So 1/2 times 4 is going to be 2. 1/2 times 10 is going to be 5. 1/2 times -46 is going to be -23. And now I'm doing the same thing I did before. I'm going to add the first row to the second, but not alter the first row. So this will become 0, this will stay 5, and this will become -15. -2 plus 2 is 0, 0 plus 5 is 5, 8 plus -23 is -15. Okay, we're almost there. That was the difficult part. Okay, I'm going to put this on the next page. I was just running out of room here, and I didn't want to overcrowd things. So this is where we were. We're still on the same problem. Now the idea is I still want 1, 0, 0, 1. I want to turn this into 1. So I'm going to divide. It says multiply by the reciprocal. That just means divide by -2. But they're going to say multiply the top row by -1/2. So that's going to turn this into 1, this into 0, and -1/2 times that times 8 is -4. Now I'm going to multiply the bottom row by the reciprocal of the second number. It just essentially means divide everything by 5. But the way Delta Math says is you multiply by a number. So 5 divided by 5 is going to be 1. -15 divided by 5 is going to be -3. And so now we get what we wanted, and what this means is going back to thinking about, our original thing was 3, 4, 5, 10, -27, -46. Well, these were the x's, these were the y's, equal that. So think about it this way. 1x plus 0y equals -4. 0x plus 1y equals negative 3. By the way, this is called reduced row echelon form. There's the fancy math term for it. But what it means, x is negative 4 and y is negative 3. You have solved that system. Okay, your turn on a couple. Give this one a try. We'll come back and try to work it out. Pause it here, work it out, and come back and check. Okay, so there's your augmented matrix. Now notice this one, we don't have anything that's very obvious to cancel out. So I'm going to have to multiply both by something. I want this 2 to go away. So I can't just multiply it by something and get negative 5 or get positive 5. So the idea is I'm going to multiply the top by 5 and the bottom by 2. That will have positive 10 and negative 10. So I'm going to multiply the top row by 5 and the bottom row by 2. So I should get 30, 10, and negative 5. And here I'll get negative 16, negative 10, and 12. So now I'm going to add them but not change the second row. So 30 minus 16, essentially 30 plus negative 16 is going to be 14. 10 plus negative 10 is 0. Negative 5 plus 12 is 7. Here's where it starts to get a little ugly. Again, I need to get rid of the negative 16, but nothing quite matches up yet. So I'm going to have to multiply the top row by 16 and the bottom row by 14. 16 times 14 is what your calculator's for, 224. That's going to stay 0. And 16 times 7 is 112. Bottom row by 14, get negative 224, which is what we want. Times 14 again, negative 140. And 12 times 14 is 168. I'm going to add them up. So 224 plus negative 224 gives that 0. 0 plus negative 140 is negative 140. 112 plus 168 is 280. And now we're going to do that whole multiply by the reciprocal, or essentially you're going to multiply the top row by 1 over 224, which just means divide everything by 224. In the bottom, I'm going to multiply by negative 140, or essentially divide by negative 140. So this will become 1, and this will become 1. And then this will be over 224, and this will be over negative 140, which brings you to 1/2 and negative 2. So x is 1/2, and y is negative 2. Okay, let's have you try one more. Work this one out, pause here, come back and check your answers. Okay, there's your augmented matrix. So I'm going to multiply the top row by 2 to get my positive 10 to go with my negative 10. Add the bottom row to the top row, but don't change the bottom row. So I should get 2, 0, and 7. And now you could, by the way, this is one of those ones, you could divide the bottom by 5. I think I chose to multiply the top by 5. But you could divide the bottom row by 5 and it would have worked as well. So I get 10, 0, 35. Now when I add those together, I'm leaving the top row alone and just changing the bottom row by adding them together. I get 0, negative 10, and 35 plus 5 is 40. I'm going to divide the top row by 10, divide the bottom row by negative 10, or multiply by 1/10, or multiply by negative 1 over 10. And you get 7 over 2, or 35 over 10 if you had left it that way. Some people put 3.5. Those are all the same number. And the bottom you get negative 4. So x is 7 over 2 and y is negative 4. And there's your answer. Good luck.